What if I told you that the strongest people you admire, the ones who don't flinch in the storm, the ones who stand tall when everything else is falling apart, they weren't born that way. They were built, not in the spotlight, not on the stage, but in the dark, alone, with no applause, no recognition, just grit, sweat, and an unshakable belief that they could take one more step, even if it hurt. You see, everybody wants to be strong until it's time to be strong. Everybody wants success, wants peace, wants victory, until life demands a price. And that price is mental toughness. But let me ask you something. When life hits you, not taps you, not nudges you, hits you square in the chest, do you fall down and stay there? Or do you get up slow, with blood on your mouth and fire in your eyes? Because this isn't about talent. This isn't about luck. This isn't about how many followers you got or how many likes your story got today. This is about how deep you're willing to dig when everything in you says. This is about building something inside of you so solid, so unbreakable, that when the world throws you chaos, you respond with calm. When it throws fear, you respond with focus. When it throws doubt, you throw faith right back at it. Let me tell you a secret. Most people lose, not because they're not capable, but because they've never trained their mind to endure. Mental toughness isn't sexy. It's not glamorous. It's not a hashtag. It's not a quote on your wall. It's what you do when the lights go off. When nobody's watching, when your back is against the wall, and all you've got left is your heartbeat and your will. And I promise you this, if you can master your mind, you can master your life. So stay with me, because by the time we're done, you won't just be motivated, you'll be ready. Ready to fight different, think different, live different. You're not weak, you're just untrained. Let's change that. You ever notice how people talk about greatness like it's a gift? Like it just falls from the sky and lands on certain people. He's just got it. She was born for this. They say things like that because it's easier to believe greatness is given than to accept the truth that greatness is earned. That strength is built. That mental toughness, the kind that doesn't bend in the storm, is born through pain, through pressure, through struggle. See, we live in a world that teaches us to run from discomfort, to avoid the hard path, to look for shortcuts. But the truth is this. Diamonds are only formed under pressure. Gold is only purified by fire. Steel is only sharpened by friction. And your mind, your spirit, they're no different. Everybody wants the shine, but nobody wants the pressure. Everybody wants the results, but nobody wants the work. But you can't grow muscle without resistance. You can't build calluses without the blisters. And you sure as hell can't build mental toughness without the struggle. Let me say it plain, pain is part of the process. Not because life is cruel, not because the world is out to get you, but because pressure is the tool that reveals who you really are. It strips away the excuses, the noise, the fake confidence. It leaves you face to face with the truth, and that truth is what you do next. That's where mental toughness begins. Think back to a time you were hurting. Maybe life hit you out of nowhere. A loss, a failure, rejection, heartbreak. That moment when you felt like everything was falling apart. That was your pressure. That was your test. And if you're still here, still breathing, still trying, then you've already proven something most people never do. You didn't fold. You didn't give in. Now, I'm not saying the struggle feels good. It doesn't. It's messy. It's confusing. Sometimes it feels like you're walking through hell with no map. But the beauty is, every step you take through that fire makes you stronger. It builds something in you that comfort never could. You think champions get to the top without pain? You think leaders rise without sacrifice? You think the most disciplined people in the world woke up one day and were just ready? No. They bled for it. They suffered for it. They got knocked down again and again and chose to rise. And when they rose, they were different. Not just tougher, but wiser, clearer, hungrier. Here's what the struggle does. It teaches you. It teaches you what you're capable of. It teaches you that you can survive disappointment. That failure is not the end, it's part of the foundation. It teaches you that you don't need everyone to believe in you. You just need to believe in yourself enough to keep going. And it teaches you that mental toughness is not about pretending nothing hurts. It's about hurting and showing up anyway. Let me break it down like this. Pressure exposes cracks. That's true. But it also builds strength in the places where those cracks once were. Every time you face something hard and keep going, your mind adapts. It gets stronger, like a callus forming over time, like scar tissue growing back thicker. You become resilient. You become dangerous. Because now, you're not scared of the pain. You don't run from hard. You walk through it with your head high. Because you know it's shaping you. You know it's preparing you for what's next. Let me give you an example. There was a man who was told no 1,093 times before someone said yes. Every rejection was a punch to the gut. Every no felt like a door slamming in his face. But he kept going. Every time they said he wasn't good enough, he worked harder. Every time they said he didn't have it, he sharpened his skill. Every time the pressure told him to quit, he whispered back, "Not today." That man, he built mental toughness through struggle. He didn't curse the pressure, he embraced it. And when he finally got that yes, it wasn't luck, it wasn't chance, it was the result of thousands of moments where he chose grit over comfort, fire over fear. That's the path. And you've got your own version of that story. Maybe you're in the middle of it right now. Maybe you feel like the pressure is too much, like you're about to break. I'm telling you, don't run from it. Don't wish it away. Use it. Let it sharpen you. Let it remind you that you're not done yet. Because the struggle is not your enemy, it's your sculptor. It's shaping you into something stronger, something solid, something ready. And one day, when people look at you and say, "Man, you're tough," you'll smile and think, "If only you knew what I went through to get here." So when the pressure comes, and it will come, don't ask, "Why me?" Ask, "What is this building in me?" And keep moving, because pressure doesn't break diamonds, it creates them. Motivation is loud. It's fireworks and music and shouting in the mirror. It's the goosebumps you get after watching a highlight reel or hearing a powerful quote. Motivation is that rush of energy that says, "Let's go," and listen. That's great. But here's the truth they don't post on social media. Motivation is a liar. It'll hype you up at midnight, then disappear when the alarm goes off at 5 a.m. It'll have you writing goals on the wall, screaming, "I'm going to change my life," then ghost you when life gets inconvenient, when it rains, when you're tired, when nobody claps for you. You know what stays when motivation leaves? Discipline. Discipline is quiet. It doesn't care about moods. It doesn't ask if you feel like it. It just shows up every day, rain or shine, tired or rested, excited or bored. That's the real battle. Not with the world, but with yourself. With that voice in your head that says, "Let's skip today," or "You've done enough," or "You deserve to take it easy." That voice sounds comforting, right? Sounds reasonable, but it's lying to you. Discipline is the voice that doesn't yell. It whispers. It says, "Do it anyway." And that's where mental toughness is born. In those tiny moments when no one's watching and you've got every reason to take the easy road, but something in you says, "No, we don't quit." See, people think success comes from these huge, explosive moments. It doesn't. It comes from stacking thousands of small, disciplined decisions on top of each other until they turn into something massive, legendary, unshakable. You don't write a book in one night. You write a paragraph a day. You don't get in shape in one workout. You show up 5 days a week when it hurts, when it's boring, when it's cold. You don't build a legacy in 1 year. You build it brick by brick, day by day, with discipline as your foundation. That's the difference between a dream and a plan. Motivation gives you the dream. Discipline builds the plan and makes it real. One is a spark, the other is firewood. You want to last through the storm? You better have more than a spark. Now let's talk about the inner battle. That one nobody sees. That's where it gets real. Because discipline doesn't just live in your actions. It starts in your thoughts. Every time you wake up and think, "I don't want to," you've got a choice. That split-second decision, that's the fork in the road. That's where champions are made. And here's what happens when you choose discipline over and over again. You stop negotiating with yourself. You stop letting your feelings control your future. You stop waiting for the right moment and realize the moment is whenever you decide to move. People say, "I need to feel inspired." No, you need to feel responsible. Inspired people start, responsible people finish. You know what the military does with recruits? They break them down. Strip away comfort, excuses, ego. Why? To rebuild them with discipline. so that when the bullets fly, when chaos hits, they don't hesitate. They respond. They're trained. That's mental toughness. It's training your mind to move, even when everything in you says stop. You've got to ask yourself, what am I training for? Because life is coming. There will be days when you don't want to show up, days when your plan falls apart, days when no one believes in you, not even you. On those days, motivation will be nowhere to be found. But if you've built discipline, if you've put in the reps, you'll keep going. You won't need to feel like it. You'll become it. Discipline is brushing your teeth before bed, not because you're excited to, but because it's who you are. Discipline is saying no to what feels good now because you're chasing what matters long term. It's shutting down the scroll, turning off the TV, lacing up your shoes, and doing what needs to be done. Every time you do that, you win the inner battle. You build the muscle. You start to trust yourself. That's something motivation can't give you. Self-trust. When you show up for yourself every day, something amazing happens. You stop needing permission. You stop waiting for the mood to be right. You stop looking outside for strength because you built it inside. And that kind of power, that quiet, unshakable discipline, it will take you places talent can't. It will carry you when everything else runs dry. It will make you dangerous in a world full of distracted people. So stop chasing motivation like it's some magic potion. It's not real. It comes and goes. But discipline stays. Discipline shows up. Discipline builds empires when others are still talking about dreams. So next time your mind says, let's skip it, you say, not today. Next time your body says, I'm tired, you say, we move anyway. Next time that lazy voice creeps in and tells you to coast, you say, we don't coast, we conquer. Because winners don't wait to feel ready. They get ready by doing. And that is how you win the inner battle. Your mind is the most powerful weapon you have. But like any weapon, it's dangerous when it's in the wrong hands. And the truth is, for most people, it's not in their control. Their mind runs wild, and they follow it without question. Thoughts come, emotions rise, and without even thinking, they react. No pause, no filter, just reaction after reaction. And then they wonder why they feel anxious, scattered, stuck. You don't have to live like that, because there comes a moment in every person's life when they realize either you control your mind or it controls you. There's no middle ground. One of you is driving. One of you is making the choices. One of you is deciding the direction of your life. The world will feed your mind fear. The news will feed it panic. Social media will feed it comparison. And your own self-doubt will feed it lies. Things like you're not enough, or you'll never make it, or why even try. But none of those voices can dominate you if you're in control. Let's make something clear. Your mind is not your enemy. It's not evil. It's just untrained. Think of it like a wild horse, full of power, energy, potential. But if you never grab the reins, if you never learn to steer it, it will buck you off and run wherever it pleases. That's what most people experience. A mind that drags them into anxiety, into fear, into self-sabotage, because no one ever taught them how to ride. Mental toughness starts when you stop letting every thought dictate your state. Just because a thought shows up doesn't mean you have to accept it. Not every voice deserves your attention. Not every emotion deserves a response. You are not your feelings. You are not your impulses. You are not your temporary storms. You are the one who chooses what stays and what goes. The battlefield isn't out there. It's in here. It's in that space between stimulus and response. That tiny moment when something happens and you choose how to react. That's the space where strength is born. That's where champions are made, in the decision to pause, to think, to lead your mind instead of being led by it. Let me break it down with something real. Imagine you get bad news. Something falls through. A plan gets wrecked. Most people immediately spiral. Why does this always happen to me? What if I never recover? I can't do this. And the mind, sensing fear, doubles down. Thoughts stack on top of each other like bricks until it becomes a wall you can't see over. But what if, in that exact moment, you stopped and said, okay, this hurts, but what's real? What can I control right now? What is this trying to teach me? You just took the wheel. You just told your mind, we're not going down that road today. That is power. That is control. It's not that mentally tough people don't feel fear. They do. But they don't let fear make their decisions. They observe it. They talk to it. They say, I see you, I hear you. But you don't run the show. You can train your mind to be your ally. You do it through repetition, through meditation, through self-talk, through journaling, through catching thoughts before they take root, through building the habit of asking better questions. Is this thought helping me or hurting me? Is this fear based on truth or imagination? Am I reacting emotionally or responding with clarity? You become the watcher of your thoughts instead of the prisoner of them. That's what separates the elite from the average. Not talent, but awareness. The greats don't just feel, they reflect. They don't just react, they respond. They see their mind as a tool, not a master. If you don't build that awareness, your mind will control your days. It'll have you chasing validation, worrying about things that don't matter, stuck in patterns that drain your energy. And worst of all, it'll convince you that it's all normal. But normal isn't working for most people. Normal is stressed. Normal is overwhelmed. Normal is distracted and exhausted. You don't want normal. You want focused, clear, locked in, unshaken. So here's the truth. Mental toughness doesn't come from pretending life is easy. It comes from training your mind to stay calm when life is hard, to stay focused when things are noisy, to stay grounded when emotions rise. You've got to treat your thoughts like visitors. Some are welcome. Some need to leave. And it's your job to decide which is which. Not out of fear, not out of anger, but from a place of control, discipline, wisdom. Think of the mind like a garden. If you don't tend it, weeds will grow. Doubt, fear, comparison, jealousy, they'll sprout overnight. But if you plant intention, focus, gratitude, resilience, and water them daily, your mind becomes a place of peace, a fortress, a weapon. And when your mind is under your control, nothing outside of you can shake you. Not failure, not rejection, not pressure, because you've already won the hardest battle, the one inside. So don't wait until life forces you to train your mind. Start now, every day, every moment, when the storm hits. And it will, your peace will not be moved. Control the mind, or it will control you. There's a moment in every journey where the lights go out. The road you were walking suddenly vanishes beneath your feet. The certainty you once had turns into questions. Doubt creeps in. Fear starts whispering. And everything in you wants to stop, turn around, or crawl back to comfort. That moment is what separates the ones who finish from the ones who fold. Not because they were braver, not because they were smarter, but because they kept walking, even in the dark. See, faith isn't needed when everything's clear. Faith doesn't show up when the sun's shining and the plan is working. Faith shows up when the path is gone, the noise is loud, and nothing makes sense. It shows up when you're alone in the silence, staring into the unknown, and all you've got is a whisper in your soul that says, keep going. That's the kind of faith that builds giants. Not blind hope, not wishful thinking, but the deep gut-level belief that your steps still matter, even when you can't see where they lead. You ever been there? In that place where nothing is clicking, you're doing the work, but the results aren't showing. You're giving your best, but the doors stay closed. You're waking up early, pushing through pain, doing everything you know how to do, and still it feels like you're stuck in place. That's the dark, and most people quit in that space. They confuse silence with failure. They think if it was meant to be, it'd be easier. But that's not how growth works. That's not how transformation happens. Growth doesn't shout, it whispers. Progress doesn't always show itself. Sometimes it hides in the grind. Faith is what tells you to trust the process when the process is invisible. And if you only walk when the lights are on, you'll never reach the places that require deeper strength. There are parts of your destiny that can only be accessed through the dark, because the dark humbles you. It breaks you open. It strips away your ego, your pride, your image. It brings you to your knees and forces you to decide, am I in this only when it feels good, or am I in this for real? You've got to learn to walk by faith, not by sight. Sight says, I'll believe it when I see it. Faith says, I'll believe it until I see it. Sight depends on the external. Faith depends on the internal. And when your internal fire is strong enough, it will light up even the darkest nights. Some of the most powerful breakthroughs come right after the moment you almost gave up. That's not a cliche, that's real. Because the moment you push past your limit, your mind expands, your spirit levels up. You realize you were never walking alone in the dark, you were being refined in it. Think of the seed in the soil. It's buried, surrounded by darkness. No light, no applause. But it doesn't panic, it doesn't doubt. It pushes upward, not because it sees the sun, but because it knows the sun is there. That's faith, or the miner digging for gold. He swings the pickaxe hundreds of times with nothing to show for it. Dirt, sweat, silence. But he doesn't stop. He doesn't throw down the tool. He keeps swinging because he believes that just beyond the next strike, something will break open. Can you do that? Can you keep showing up when nothing's happening? Can you keep believing when the evidence is against you? Can you keep trusting when your heart is tired and your hands are empty? That's what it means to walk in the dark. And let me tell you something. The dark is temporary, but what it builds in you is eternal. Every step you take in the dark is a vote for your future self. Every act of discipline, every choice to keep going, every time you silence the fear and say, I'm not done yet, you're shaping something inside of you that can't be shaken later. You'll come out of the dark with more than a story. You'll come out with a strength that wasn't there before. A trust in yourself, a trust in your process, a trust in your purpose. You don't have to have all the answers. You don't have to feel good every day. You just have to keep walking. And sometimes all faith is the decision to take one more step, even when it's hard, even when you're scared, even when your heart's heavy and your vision's blurry, because there is something on the other side of the dark. And if you quit now, you'll never see it. But if you keep going, even if you crawl, one day the light will break through and you'll realize the dark didn't defeat you. It developed you. It made you. It led you to a version of yourself you never knew existed. So when the lights go out, don't panic. Don't run. Don't stop. Take a breath. Lock in. And keep walking. When the pain hits, when the fatigue sets in, when the pressure gets heavy and the doubt starts creeping in, you need something bigger than hype to carry you. You need something deeper than adrenaline. What you need is purpose. Because without a why, you'll never last in the fight. People start things every day. They set goals, chase dreams, promise to change. But when the storm comes, and it always comes, they fold. Why? Because they didn't anchor themselves to a reason worth suffering for, a reason worth bleeding for, a reason worth waking up early, staying up late, sacrificing comfort, and pushing past the urge to quit. Purpose is what gives your pain meaning. Without it, struggle just feels like punishment. With it, struggle becomes fuel. You've got to ask yourself, why am I in this? What are you building? What are you fighting for? What legacy are you trying to leave behind? Because if you don't know that, if you're just chasing a number, a status, a look, a short-term fix, you'll burn out fast. The hunger won't last, the energy will dry up, and you'll find yourself drifting, wondering why you ever started. But when you know your purpose, really know it, every obstacle becomes a stepping stone. Every challenge becomes an opportunity to prove to yourself that your reason is stronger than your excuses. You want to quit? Remember why you began. You want to slow down? Think about who's counting on you. You want to compromise? Picture the version of you who didn't, the one who kept showing up when it hurt. That's what purpose does. It puts fire in your soul. It gives you something to hold on to when everything else slips through your fingers. It's not just about what you do, it's about why you do it. Maybe your purpose is to break a generational curse. Maybe it's to show your kids what resilience looks like. Maybe it's to silence the voice in your head that told you you'd never make it. Maybe it's to prove to yourself that you're not what the world labeled you as. You're something more, something stronger, something unstoppable. You've got to get clear on that. Because purpose isn't some fluffy idea. It's a weapon. It's a compass. It's what keeps you locked in when distractions come, when emotions shift, when motivation fades. A person with purpose can walk through fire. A person with purpose can take the hits and keep moving because they're not chasing applause, they're chasing meaning. They're not fueled by noise, they're fueled by mission. You've seen it in the greats. They're not just talented, they're convicted. They've got something inside them that's non-negotiable, a standard, a reason, a why. And that why keeps them climbing long after others have stopped. You don't find purpose on accident. You create it. You dig for it. You ask the hard questions. What do I want my life to stand for? What impact do I want to leave behind? Who do I want to become when no one's watching? And when you find that answer, you build around it. You make your daily actions match your deeper calling. You show up not just to check a box, but to live on purpose, to train with purpose, to love with purpose, to lead with purpose. And here's the thing, your purpose doesn't have to be loud. It doesn't have to be flashy or dramatic or public. It just has to be real. Real enough that it makes you get up when everything hurts. Real enough that it keeps you focused when others are distracted. Real enough that it makes the grind worth it. Purpose is what turns ordinary effort into extraordinary outcomes. It's what gives you endurance when the path gets long. It's what gives you discipline when life gives you every excuse to slack off. People will try to distract you. Life will test you. But if your why is strong enough, you will not fold. You might bend, you might cry, you might stumble, but you won't quit because you know what's at stake. You know who you're doing this for. You know what it means to stay in the fight, even when you're bruised and bloody and tired and alone. Purpose isn't a feeling, it's a decision. It's the decision to keep climbing, to keep believing, to keep pushing, even when there's no applause, even when the crowd walks away, even when you're walking uphill, in the rain with no map, but still walking. Because deep down, something in you knows, this is bigger than me. This is who I'm called to be. This is what I was born to do. And that kind of power, that kind of fire, it doesn't burn out. Purpose doesn't just help you survive the fight. It makes you dangerous in the fight, unshakable, focused, driven. So if you've lost your spark, go back to your why. Reignite it, reconnect with it, and let it carry you through every battle ahead. Because purpose is power. And once you've locked into that, you don't just fight harder, you fight smarter, you fight longer. You fight like someone who refuses to lose. You've made it this far, not by accident, but because something inside you refuses to settle. You're here because you know, deep down, that you were built for more, that the life you want, the strength you seek, the peace you crave, it's not going to be handed to you. You've got to fight for it. You've got to build it. And that battle begins in the mind. Mental toughness isn't about being fearless. It's about choosing courage in spite of fear. It's not about having all the answers. It's about showing up anyway. It's walking through the dark with faith, holding your ground when everything tells you to run, and rising every time life knocks you flat. Discipline, faith, purpose, focus, resilience. These aren't just words. They're tools, weapons, shields. You sharpen them daily, in silence, when no one's watching. You don't do it for applause. You do it because you know who you are becoming. You want a strong life? Build a strong mind. You want to change your story? Win the war inside, because the world can take almost anything from you. Comfort, approval, stability, but it can't take your mindset. That belongs to you. And if you master it, you become unbreakable. So the next time it hurts, the next time it's hard, the next time your body's tired and your spirit is tested, remember this. You are not finished. You are being forged. Every rep, every choice, every step through fire, it's making you stronger, sharper, more dangerous. The grind is never easy, but it's always worth it. So stand tall, lock in, keep walking, and never forget, tough times don't make you weaker. They reveal the warrior you were born to be.